Okay, so the second speaker, second actually keynote speaker is Dr. Pan Liu from Hong Kong Polytechnic University. Actually, I don't remember the when we met, but I thought that, well, probably I was introduced Dr. Pan Liu as a sort of visual studies person who are looking at urban culture in relation to contemporary art. And then I realized, Dr. Pan is also working as a curator in exhibition. And recently, I know the kind of, Dr. Pan is making a film with other artists recently. So when we all start to organize this particular international conference, to me, that she's one of the most appropriate keynote speaker who can talk about sort of the relation between the practice and theory, and also the how the visual studies scholars are kind of actively engaged in the sort of art practices as a sort of curator or as a film director. So it's really exciting to invite her in this way. So I'm really pleased to we could get Dr. Pan Liu as a keynote speaker. So thank you very much for coming. So I'm passing this mic to Pan Liu, who are in Hong Kong, and she's giving a talk about 1 hour, and then we're gonna have a Q&A time. So, and can I invite?
Thank you, Mori Sensei, so much for inviting me to this really exciting symposium. I've been here listening to all the talks most of the time, and I really learned a lot. So today I will introduce you 4 projects I've been doing since quite a long time, but I will focus on the last 2 because I will also play clips from the 2 works to all of you, and I'm happy to know about your comments and your thoughts about them. So I want to share the screen. I've been working as researching as a scholar, I will say since maybe around 10 years, and I've been interested in topics like memory, space, and also their relation with visual culture, visual arts. So I worked on urban stuffs, but I also recently work on monuments, war monuments, and also archive, art-related archive, visual materials-related archive. So these are the keywords of my research. But since 2000, oops, sorry. Okay. Since 2012, I also began to work with artists. I've never been an artist before, but I started this collaboration with a friend who used to be based in New York, and we worked on actually so far 3 video projects and several other installation projects. And I really feel that research and art practice are kind of, they're compensating each other and inspiring, mutually inspiring. And so I feel now I really feel my research cannot do without artistic practice and vice versa. So I will just quickly start with the first 2 projects, which are more related to postcards. And they have 6 years of span and has a slightly different kind of methodologies, but I think they both deal with this idea of image in different temporalities, in past, future, and present, and how we try to play with these temporalities. The first one is called the Picture Postcards from the Future, and it was for a section in Shanghai Biennale in that year, 2014. And so this project is actually a, we made some fake postcards, okay, from some images. But we got the inspiration of this project from this Russian-French philosopher Alexander Koyev, and his works of photographs shot in 60s and 70s in different parts of the world. And you may know, we of course know the idea of the end of the history by Fukuyama, but actually Fukuyama was also inspired by Koyev, who also really talked about the end of history. And in these photos he shoot, actually, he was trying to shoot all these monumental architectures from a past time, and he thinks these images also are symbolic of that kind of, end of history. But we try in this project, although inspired by it, to reverse Koyev's gaze, that he's standing in the present and looking back at the past and think, our history ends there. What we did was the opposite. We actually took these really mundane, everyday images from today's China and around different places, and they are really everyday. Nobody thinks they are symbolic or monumental, but we take these images as a kind of future monumental images or monuments in themselves, and put these really kitschy kind of postcard-like kind of words or slogans on each of them. And so we just try to reverse this kind of gaze, from the past to the future, and to make a little bit, sense of absurdity making from that, and also a little bit of, something between familiarity and unfamiliarity. And the most recent postcard project, Molly Sensei also know about that, is the Happiest Place on Earth project, curated or organized by Hotel Asia project, which is also, a very fascinating project as a collaboration between different independent art space in Asia. And so in this project, we are doing this design of the posters again, but in 2020, and now is the time of the pandemic. And so the idea is we try to provide an image of the happiest place on earth during the pandemic. And so what we do is, because we cannot really travel or go sightseeing as the pre-pandemic era, so we were thinking what we really see, the landscape or the most seen landscape might be those background images from Zoom or other kind of computerized kind of, or really artificial kind of background. So we choose maybe some of the image is really easily recognizable. They are these ready-made background from Zoom. And so we also try to put some fake kind of tourists in the foreground to make also this kind of contrast. And again, this is also a way we try to play with the mixed up and also dislocated kind of temporalities. Okay, so everyday image and also this idea of mixed up spaces is really part of my interest. And of course, these two projects only speaks to, relatively speaking, easier tricks me and my collaborator played on. But we do have more complicated, much more historicized and contextualized research, as well as, research-based video works on this more historical idea of everyday, but also, history, space, memory. So we, Bo Wong, who is now based in Amsterdam, we collaborated almost 10 years together on, these three major film works, and I can call it also Hong Kong trilogy, like it's like a trilogy, three films, and all of them are actually about these idea of space and history, the production of space, of urban space in Hong Kong. And Hong Kong is seen not only as the city itself, but also a slice of any global city or any big cities with a very complicated history. And so these two films, I will also play one of the films 15 minutes from the second one, Many Undulating Things. It's the second chapter of this, part of the second chapter of this film. And it's, it has some overlapping with the second film which is called Miasma Plants and Expo Paintings. And this two films actually deal with this complicated history of visual culture and the making of the space in Hong Kong and its colonial history and its complicated contemporary politics. And so, so we actually take a lot of, small points that scattered in different places in history. You never thought that they are related, but we try to pick them up and try to draw a line between the spots and make a narrative. And so we majorly link, for example, ideas of painting in the 19th century, and also the idea of botanic empire. And also I will explain a little bit about the archival images we used. So, this about the research part, apart from the historical research we did about Hong Kong and its space and its architecture, we also looked at books or theories by, for example, Nicholas Murtoff's The Right to Look, and try to understand how different images or representations like paintings and architectures or particular medium of art are really showing or illustrating this power relations between who has the right to look or who has the right to be looked at, things like that. So there's one interesting line here is these paintings in the 19th century, and they were painted by the Chinese painters, but exported to the European buyers at that time, since 18th century. And one of the very interesting theme of these paintings are, flowers and plants. And so, following this thread, we are also seeing, this idea of the botanic empire that was established by the British at that time. So the plants and the flowers, the botanic gardens, they're not there only for, beauty or, de-urbanization, but also has a very strong implications in the colonization and the colonial, the imperial kind of conquering and, the making of the ideology. So that's really what we try to do, try to review. And so in this film, we actually later in the clip you will watch, we actually use the various kind of archival images. By archival images, we do not only mean in the historical studies sense that they are from, an archive in the library or a national archive, but we, of course, we did that. But we also mean those archives in the all human produced images, like film, like old films. So we mixed different kinds of materials between these archive images, the images we shoot by ourselves, and also these, old film footages, and try to, give you a better sense of how we try to link all these spots together. And of course, these images also speaks to how Hong Kong and its even present day spatial hierarchy and the spatial politics came to its present form. We try to do that. Okay, so maybe before I think I think maybe we can watch in the first place the part of the chapter 2 of Many Undulating Things. It's around 16 minutes, and then come back. I will talk about the other projects, and we watch the other clip. Okay. Okay, maybe I should first continue, even though I guess some of you online, I haven't finished watching it, but in case we don't have enough time, I would just go on. So that was the 2 projects concerning the space configuration of Hong Kong. And so most recently, I want to introduce you another project, which has also a lot to do with archive, actually, my research on archive, but also when in 2016, when I was in researching residency at Fukuoka Asian Art Museum, I also get to know a lot of projects that are based on, for example, I think someone in the morning was also part of that group, this Hajimiri, film workshop in Tokyo, based in Tokyo and many other places in Japan. And I was really touched by these methodologies in relation to these analog media and the memory, and of course also its materiality that related to these images. And then I was, I bumped into some materials I would tell you later, and this work is a collaboration between me and actually the narrator of the last film, Araki Xu-san. And so this time we worked together as director of this very interesting, I would call it Pan-East Asia collaboration, because I'm Chinese and you is Japanese, and the project is funded by ACC in Gwangju, Korea. And so, so this project is built on these home videos from the 60s to 1990s. That was a time when all different kinds of home video material technology were available to ordinary households, first in Japan and then in maybe in Hong Kong and Taiwan and in Korea and finally in China. And so we collected, from different sources, these kinds of all these home videos. And one really difficult thing is all these analog films were not digitized when we have them. For example, for my own home and also from youth family, we have a lot of these high-8 tapes, but we don't know how to watch them anymore. But we find a time to digitize, a chance to digitize them. But I would like to share with you this because when we try to, I digitized my own home video like 3 years ago already. I was preparing for making this film, but I don't know how and when. And I told you maybe you can also digitize your family home videos. And he did that last year during the pandemic. And my digitization went on really quick, like within several weeks. But he said because of the pandemic, actually, many people in Japan, many households in Japan are having their old home videos digitized. And so he spent very long time queuing in the line for getting all these materials digitized. So, but anyway, I think in the end, we also realize, and also the form of this project is also this remote dialogue between us. And so we finally realized this project is about our past, but it's also very much about how to work on an art project, or what does art mean, or memory mean to us in the pandemic. And so it's out very recently in May. And so I will tell you a little bit about the videos. And I think all family has its own archive. So when we talk about archive, we're not only talking about, as I said, these official, state-owned institution archives, but we all have this archive. And we have these self-produced images and sound. What I find really exciting about this project is I found a lot of these images that I found from my family, which is in Shanghai, and also from Yu's family in Tokyo, and also some other images from Hong Kong and Taiwan. And they are actually a lot about this border crossing, traveling, and also this, childhood thing, which is really touching. But in the meanwhile, also speaks a lot to how media and how these kind of materiality of media really change the form of memory. And so later you will see how we got our first camera and when was that and what happened. But there's also, stories of my relatives migrated to Tokyo in the 80s, and how they, tried to shoot their lives in Tokyo. But also, this is the most interesting thing, is all these people in the images and the videos, people I never know, I may never know in my life. They were really, we have this word found footage, but I really found them in an abandoned house in Taipei. And this house is already, be empty for 10 years. But when I enter that house, there are a lot of slides and, Hi8 tapes on the floor of, as garbage or as trash, left there. And so they're from the 60s, to the 90s. And so we also use a little bit of those images. And finally, I have to say this project is also greatly inspired by these footages from the household, archive of a Hong Kong artist friend whose grandparents actually went to Tokyo in 1964, and in Tokyo, they got their first 8mm home video camera, and they also shoot a lot of travels and family encounters with different people, but also the Olympics from this, tourist's eye. And I was also, cross-editing all these images together using different kinds of texts, including literary texts, contemporary short stories by a Shanghainese writer, but also these old texts written by someone called Liu Nao, who is actually a native Taiwanese, but studied in Japan, and finally assassinated in Shanghai in the 1930s. And he was also, I think his writing and also his life is also very much about these voyages around Asia. And so all these literary texts and also the research into the archival images of family and the sound and the different kind of voices, they all made up this whole narrative about a lot about these ideas of how in Asia maybe we share a certain kind of a collective kind of memory through these very private things, actually. So yeah, I think I will stop here, and I will show you another 15 minutes of clip from this very new film. Okay, I'm the last one to speak today, so I think I will stop here. And thank you very much for watching and listening. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. So yeah, that was very interesting presentation, and thank you very much for sharing the videos as well. That actually gave a lot of idea how we think about the relation between the video and the research. Was a well, probably I have a lot of things to say, but I also ask the audience to kind of make a comment or ask any questions. And you can write any comment or question in the chat box, right? But can I ask a quick question? Particularly the second one, I was really impressed by using the kind of home video, because obviously it's about sort of personal history, but also it shows us a sort of kind of everyday life at the time, or also kind of all culture, including interior, technology, clothes, or way of speaking, or toys, or blah, blah, blah. So, in a way, probably we could learn a lot of things, not only about you or, the other director, but also about sort of everyday culture itself and society too. But having said that, even if you if you watch sort of a TV drama or news, footage, you could see the same thing. So why you are particularly interested in this personal video clips?
Well, actually, I think the idea to revisit them was really forcefully brought back by something, some trigger. Like, for example, my friend asked me for help to digitize things, or because of, my research on archive. Before that, but maybe if you asked me 3 years ago, if I want to do some research about the 90s or the 60s, I will go to these public materials, public archives, because I think they are like real, true kind of thing, like screened by those authorities. But then I forgot about my own archive in a way. And then when I was kind of brought into my own family archive or other people's family archive, I was thinking to myself, like, no, we have the archive that belong to us, and they're no less real than those that were archived by the museums or libraries. And I find that's really exciting, or even giving me a feeling of, this fairness of memory, like whose memory is prioritized. And what we can also do with the things that we thought, like, as I said, those Taiwan families, they thought these are trash. So the line between archive and the trash is really thin. It's really, really just one step. And the personal archive, family archive, and the national archive is the line so thin as well. So that's really what I'm thinking about. Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, the thing, did you find any gap between your memory in your mind and the kind of recorded images?
That really, yeah. We talked about this later in the film, and also the last chapter is really about gender issues that I really never thought about. Like I exchange idea about this with you, and we think this, father usually take hold of the camera and shoot all the ideal pictures of a family. And so what about my memory, and what about Yu's memory? He said, my own memory is replaced by these videos, actually from someone else's perspective. So that's really something we are also reflecting about in the film.
That's interesting too. Okay. Oh, okay. We have a comment and a question from Lindsay. Lindsay. Can you see the chat box? And she said, okay, I will read it. Dear Professor Pan, thank you so much for sharing your works. It's so exciting. I have some questions for you. How do you think of the monologue with accent or dialect in your work? Do you have any particular preference for female or male voices?
Thank you for the question. This is actually really, really recognizable for maybe Chinese audience, because I didn't speak Mandarin Chinese as voiceover, but Shanghainese as a disappearing dialect, actually. And of course, because later I also used Taiwanese, so there's no Mandarin Chinese in this film. And so, because for me, Shanghainese is my first language, and so I think all my memories related with family at that time are actually only in, or most of them are in Shanghainese. If you watch the film, there's dialogues from these original videos, and they are all in Shanghainese, actually. And so I think that's really important, because this sound or this dialect language is really very much related with this memory of the family. So female-male voice is really, how to say, because you is a male voice and I'm a female voice, I think we try to find this balance between, male and female. And when it comes to certain literary text, we also shift between female voice and male voice. So unlike what we found in the end, that most videos were shot by our fathers, we try to bring in different voices. Yes.
Yeah. It's okay. Or Lizzie, maybe you can participate in the discussion and directly.
Thank you.
can.
Well, another thing, maybe I can add a little bit about my feeling, like also research process, because I got to know like projects like Anna Archive in Japan, and so I found that these home video shooting started in Japan in the 60s. That's really, really, I think, early among all Eastern Asian countries. And I think when my family owned this home video in 1993, nobody around my home has that. It's really something really advanced. And so I'm also thinking about this time gap, like the 30 years difference of ordinary family to have this control over the documentation of everyday life, and what would be the difference. And so because Japan has this long history, so you have all these different kind of materials from Hachimiri to, Hi8. But for people in China or other places, maybe, after Hachimiri, maybe just really quickly, we already all turned to digital. And so that kind of gap, what does that speaks to? That's also something I also want to know more from the Japanese researcher or filmmakers, and yeah.
Okay. We have one more question from Kyan Tamura. What is the relative importance of the narration in comparison to the footage?
Thank you. So we had a lot of discussion about narration and combination with footage. At first, we used more different kinds of narrative texts, not only literary texts, but also even some theoretical texts. But we finally found that the narrative, we want to keep the narrative on a very personal, very intimate level. So no matter it's a kind of, literary text or like friends conversation, I think that's, deliver better in relation with these really intimate, private kind of images, moving images. But I would also say that the footages are has no logic basically, because it's really random shooting or even just testing things. So they don't have a narrative in themselves. So I think our narrative is trying to give these footages a narrative from today's point of view, but they are illogical, or they are not really, having a very clear narrative. There is a narrative, but it's also probably from our view, it's not the ultimate narrative. So I think, of course, both are very important, and I think we try to also let the footages speak for themselves at certain moments. And so you have actually several parallel narratives going on: the image itself, our conversation, the literary texts. And so, so they are working together.
Thank you. And yes, thank you. Maybe we have the last two questions. Is it okay? The one from Lindsay and the other one from Simone. Okay, so the first question. Do you think you are doing a kind of essay film? Do you relate your work to this concept? This is a question from Lindsay. The second one is the comment you made earlier about the video format and the source material for the second film you shared addresses technological obsolescence. Would this be also something you will incorporate more explicitly in your future research?
Thank you for both questions. The first one is definitely I'm all the time I'm doing essay films, and so of course if you look at film studies readings, there are different ways of defining essay film, but I think for me this this poetics of both image of literary, the text is quite crucial for me in essay film. And but of course, what do I mean by this poetics or this poetic moments needs further definition. But I think it's really something between reality and fiction, and also it's not it sounds like also research, but it's not really telling you the truth, things like that. And I want to bring this imagination, this space of imagination and poetic space into these films. So the way I make this film and the previous film is also, I think, trying to illustrate this kind of idea. The second one, actually, I'm really interested in media archaeology, although I'm not yet, I think, started to, well, I did some research about archive, and I think it's also related to the materiality of these, as you say, obsolete kind of materials. So although at the moment I have some other research going on that is not directly related to this technological obsolescence. But I think my film is also kind of, if we talk about artistic research today, is also a kind of exploration about what we can do, or what we can still be inspired by this outdatedness of technology. We all think they are, a lot of us think they are not meaningless. They're no longer giving us a meaningful message, or they're eliminated. But I think the film itself also maybe opens some new possibilities. Yeah, thank you.